It's the Overdose Talk Show. Live January 7th, 2016. Broadcasting to a potential international audience of millions on Ustream.com. Welcome, Andrea and David Box.
Hello.
Joining me on Skype, all the way from the state of Illinois. Let's start the show. This whole country is just gone wacky. This place is stupid.
Everyone is a terrorist.
Well, like we've been talking about for a while, everything's just arguing now. So, one thing that I've been thinking about a lot this week is that, like, how dumb it is when you're party affiliated, how it just seems to always lead towards hypocrisy in the way that you judge situations and people and behavior. So yes. when everybody joins a camp and then, to be part of that camp, you have to either support or denounce one thing, or you're not a real member of that group or whatever. But, a thing you denounce or support might be in conflict with something else you denounce or support. You know what I mean? Like, yes. People are all into pointing out each other's logical fallacies now. But it can be done to anyone who belongs to any ideological camp, right? Because the point of an ideological camp, like a political party, is not to kind of maintain some kind of consistent logical progress of any kind. It's just to take advantage of your natural tendency to want to be in a tribe, and to want to feel superior to someone else. So that's the whole point of the whole thing. So people are trying to catch each other in all these different ways. Well, hey, if there was a militia takeover and it was all black people or Muslims, they'd be dead already. Or from the other side, you go, hey, you support a president who's responsible for a ton of violence, but then you pretend that these guys are terrorists who haven't hurt anyone. There's just all this hypocrisy everywhere, and I'm getting really fucking fed up and sick of it.
Yeah, me too. I can't tell you how sick of it I am. There's no words for it. The idea of aligning just the way you think with a whole group of people it has never made any sense to me.
First, let's address, why are these guys in Oregon being called terrorists? It makes no sense.
Are they? Yeah.
And
what?
You know what the weird twist on that is? The whole thing revolves around the Hammond family, right? And
right.
They were charged with terrorism under that 1996 or 7 or whatever it was, Anti-Terrorism Act. And no one seems to be pointing out how fucking ridiculous that is. Even if you believe that they burned down the woods and the grasslands to cover up evidence of poaching, which is the main thing that is being pushed on the left, I think, is these guys were poachers and they just burned down all this area to cover up evidence, which is fucking ridiculous, honestly. It seems like to me.
Also that means that you have to accept whatever is defined as poaching. Maybe all they were doing was legally hunting. It would be considered legally hunting in any other area except it was on federal land. It could be something to do with that. I'm sure they weren't shooting endangered animals.
And what is this thing where people are pretending to care? Like, that's land that's supposed to be enjoyed by everyone. It's federal land. Really? Is that what you believe? You don't think the BLM is just the bureau that goes around and collects all this land, the most valuable land, so we can fucking quietly pay debts or have collateral for loans from China and shit like that, which is all shit that's gone on with the BLM for the past fucking 20, 30 years. It's fucking ridiculously naive to sit here and go like, no, they are out of control ranchers out in the middle of nowhere just burning things. They're
just hillbillies.
Yeah, well, and that's what it is they don't give a shit. And on one side of this, people who oppose these guys are just, they're not even willing to try to understand them. It's just, they're just fucking crazy rednecks. I've heard them described as whiny, and everybody's kind of trying to joke the situation away, calling them like Al-Qaeda, which...
Yeah, I saw that one.
I saw that too.
I mean, I guess that's a little funny. It's not really...
I chuckled at it.
Yeah, it's not accurate.
It's all right, but...
Al-Qaeda, though. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny in a silly way, but you know what I mean? It's just the lack of willingness to understand each other that just really plagues us right now in this country. No matter what kind of view you have on this or whatever else. Now
I have seen. Now I immediately thought this was kind of cool and tried to find reasons why I should support these guys, and I've seen very, very little of that in general, especially from people who I would think would be supportive of what these guys are doing.
They're getting no support from the public. Yeah,
none. They're both government conspirators and conspiracy theorists, and they're also redneck Republicans.
Right. And but the initial thing,
and terrorists.
So what I was getting to is, even if you believe that all that shit was true, that these guys are just lighting fires for no reason or to cover up crimes or just being fucking irresponsible with your precious federal land, does that amount to fucking terrorism? Do you not see, even if you hate people like this and you hate the militia kind of people, and what do you not see the clear evidence of government corruption here that they're responding to? Is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind thinks that a charge of terrorism with a minimum fucking sentence of 5 years for supposedly burning some grassland and stuff? One fire got out of control accidentally back in 2001, which the courts didn't want to do anything about. They thought, or whatever. Okay,
it was an accident, and also Hammonds called and received permission for that.
Right, they had notified the fire department first of all. I think they notified them both times actually. And the idea that this was to cover up a crime is just fucking ridiculous, dude. It's just fucking stupid. You're just believing what you're told.
Yeah.
And the second time, they did it on purpose, and I think I read that only a couple of acres, like literally like 2 or 3 acres. Was it 1 acre?
The second fire, it was 1 acre of federal land was burned.
Do you have any idea what that amounts to in
and you know what else? That's probably the smallest.
Right.
That's probably the smallest increment that they would use to describe federal land. It could be even less than that, and they just rounded it up.
Yeah. So if you believe they deserve terrorism charges for this, you're a fucking cocksucker. That's all I could say.
Yeah. I'll agree with that one.
They were never charged with poaching, by the way.
No, they weren't. Well, there was no evidence.
I think it mostly revolves around
burned up.
Yeah, I think
everything was except for their passports.
Yeah.
A passport was found neatly. Just a brand new, clean passport, neatly tucked in the rubble.
Just 4 feet from the fire line.
Yeah.
Buried beneath the ashes.
Yeah.
So they get charged with this. Comes with a 5-year minimum. And then, Andrea, I asked you to look this up. I do this sometimes on the show. I just have hunches about things, and I go, Andrea, find out if this is true. And then we find out live. Is it true that they were not convicted, but they took a plea deal, and that's how they got the reduced sentence in the first place?
Yes and no.
Okay,
so they were convicted.
Just to be clear, talking about the Hammonds.
The Hammonds, yes. Technically, they were convicted.
They were sentenced. They went and did their time, and so we're talking about that sentencing. I think they
Here's what happened. They were convicted of malicious damage or destruction or attempts to damage or destroy by means of fire or explosive any building, blah, 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 whatever, this official thing. Let's see. Title 18, Section 844 is what they were convicted of, which was that terrorism law.
Okay.
Which mandated no less than 5 years, no more than 20 years for the charges. So they were convicted of that. However, the jury continued to deliberate on remaining charges. And during that time, the Hammonds took a deal that as long as they didn't appeal the verdict of their terrorism conviction, that they could stay out of jail on bail, and then they would recommend that their sentences be served concurrently. So instead of resulting in 10 years from the two charges for the two fires, they would only get 5 years.
Right, okay.
Now, when this was put before a judge, so they took that deal. So they were convicted, but they took a deal on the other charges. And then when that was put in front of the judge, the United States District Judge on the case, that judge refused to impose the 5-year mandatory minimum sentences, ruling that to do so would violate the 8th Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. So the original judge even said, hey guys, this is fucked up. And he instead sentenced 12 months and 1 day to the father and 3 months for the son.
Plus, there was some fucked up shit going on with the jury in that case. Like, for some reason, they didn't allow any jurors from the area. Jurors were coming in from like 100 miles around. You know, some of them driving an hour and a half to get there and stuff. I guess they could make the argument that anybody in the area might be too close to the situation. Well, probably, but also they might have not wanted to have ranchers who knew this situation, you know, who had any education on how this stuff actually works to be involved. I mean,
not a single rancher on that jury.
I bet there wasn't. And top to bottom, I'm sorry, this thing you gotta either you just haven't looked into it enough, or you have to agree that these people in this valley have been fucking unjustly persecuted and have had crimes committed against them to give up their land since the 60s. Just look into it a little bit. You'll see the story's very clear here. You know.
Well, and I can't get over the fact that people won't stop calling them terrorists.
The militia guys now. So
who's calling them? Is it mainstream media calling them terrorists, or is it just Facebook people?
It's a lot of people.
It's everybody.
It's a lot of people on my Facebook feed.
I know people who have personally said, like, hey, these guys are clearly terrorists. And people I know personally. And it tends to be the general message of the mainstream media at this point, too, I think. But what I don't understand is if you're using the American definition of terrorism, that's a contradiction because they're literally fighting against the people who defined the word.
Right. And the point has been made over and over, but fuck, you know, the founding fathers would be called terrorists by the establishment of their time too, you know. I mean, they probably were. I don't remember if they were what they were called by the British, but I'm sure the word, whatever the term for terrorist of the day was applied to them too. You know, so like it or not, these guys are probably not the next founding fathers. It doesn't seem like. They seem to be sort of a comical bunch in some ways. The one guy they're saying did like some Kickstarter or something on his own for this cause, and then just took all the money and went to a hotel and drank.
Oh yeah,
he just fucking holed up in a cheap motel and started drinking. But he gave a statement to the media saying, "No, that's bullshit. We had a falling out in the group, and they're just trying to fucking smear me." I don't know. Who the fuck knows what's going on? But there's another clip I saw of that Lavoy Lincecum guy he's talked to the media a whole bunch, and I actually kind of like him. But there's a clip of him. There's a news guy standing there, and he goes, "Behind me, under this blue tarp, is sitting a man with a rifle on his lap." And I don't think it was even raining. And the guy, so Lavoy sitting back on a lawn chair, completely under a blue tarp, with it completely covering him. Supposedly because he has a warrant or something, and he didn't want to be on camera at first or whatever. I don't know. But then he starts talking to the media a whole bunch. They're a bunch of weirdos. I could actually see the case being made here that this whole thing is a put on. Especially,
it's like a Simpsons episode.
Yeah, and especially because the law enforcement has made no move at all.
No.
Nothing.
Well, okay, so I did see the Oath Keepers have officially opposed this, but they're not working against them. And
Pretty
they did
much.
release information that they received from somebody in the United States Special Services that the military is getting involved. Hold on, let me grab the
Yeah, pretty
actual-
much everybody opposes these guys.
Yeah.
Almost anyone,
So-
from the conspiracy YouTube pages to the fucking the Alex Jones crowd, but some people have a better understanding than others, and I don't think anyone can reasonably make the case that these people don't have the right to be fucking fed up. Now, you'll see a lot of people trying to negate that whole thing by going, hey, this is actually Native American lands that were taken from Native Americans. This is, these guys are the hypocrites saying that it's theirs. Well, okay, but you could say that about every fucking inch of this country. So
Yeah.
when somebody walks into your town and says, you know what, this land is got there's uranium under here, and we need to get it, and we want your property, and you go, I've been living here 30 fucking years. I love this place. I raised my kids here. This is awesome. I got the perfect yard I want, and the location is so. And then they start flooding your neighborhood and cutting your fucking power off and rezoning things so that now you can't walk to the store, and to get to your tool shed in your backyard, you have to cross one of their access roads that they won't allow you access to. So you have to walk 3 miles around to get to your own fucking backyard. When they start doing things like that, which all of those things are things they did to the Hammond family, and a lot more and a lot worse, involving anonymous intimidation and all kinds of shit, then you might understand. Oh, and then are you going to say, well, I live here in Oak Lawn, Illinois, and this was technically once Iroquois territory, so I guess I shouldn't even put up a fight. I'll just let them take my fucking my house.
Well, it was never really mine.
What kind of ridiculous logic is that? And then you got the fucking the native. I keep saying Indians, and I'm not even trying as like a PC fucking thing, but like I really don't think they should be called Indians anymore. The Native Americans, whatever tribe was there, come out and say we don't like these guys either. Blah blah blah. Well, guess what? You already lost. You don't get a fucking say anymore.
You had your chance.
Yeah, you're done. We're still trying to fight. So. Maybe
if you weren't so busy building those headdresses all the time,
right,
you would have had some time to stick up for yourself.
Spend a little less time on
stupid dances.
Spend a little less time on arts and crafts and dancing around like a fool. Maybe you could get something done in this country.
Building little shitty clay pots.
Yeah, nobody wants those.
Yeah,
Fucking
get over it.
Corn bracelets or something. Shut up.
Get over it and start invading government buildings.
Yeah, no. So whatever. But the point is being made. Again, we're not a left-right oriented show, but we can see what's going on, and the left is making the point over and over. Well, this is Native American, whatever, Okay, so if you're with that notion and you're really mad that the land was stolen from the Native Americans, guess who did that? Guess who took it? Was it ranchers? Was it rednecks? Militia guys? Like gun nuts, or however you want to characterize people? Oh, wait a second. It was the federal government. So, guess what? That's the same.
Right.
That's the same enemy these guys are fighting. And if you don't support the militia guys, now according to my logic, you hate Native Americans.
Damn.
Yeah. You see the hypocrisy of fucking ideological camps again? So
by saying, that means
if you
that
support,
everyone is a terrorist.
you're supporting the federal government, first of all, if you oppose these guys, which means you're supporting the people that stole the land from the Indians too. You fucking retards. And so, like, if you have a house, okay, and somebody comes, you come home from work, say, and your doors are locked. Some guys, I got your fucking house now, and there's no one around to help, and no one gives a fuck. And you go, all right, well, fuck, I guess I got to move on. And 30 years later, the guy who stole your house has now sold it to someone else. And that guy gets it stolen. You don't get to go, hey, fuck that guy, because that was originally mine and it was stolen from me in the first place. The other guy paid for it too. He came along years later. He has fucking nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? It's just faulty logic. It's just like,
right.
It doesn't make it okay that then I don't know how a house gets stolen, but that's the best I could think of. But
it's occupied.
Yeah, that doesn't make it okay for then the same person, to come back and steal it from the other guy again. So,
yeah, don't be Indian givers.
Really?
Yeah.
The federal government, ironically, is the biggest Indian giver of all time.
Well, they gave them all that land.
And the other big thing about this is you're seeing clearly now the what people call us paranoid for. Oh, the NDAA, the Patriot Act, all these things, they're not put in place as like quiet takeovers, and it doesn't really represent the loss of rights. If you're not a terrorist, then you don't have anything to worry about. No, look at this. These are not terrorists, and they were charged with a terrorism law. This is the fear with these big, massive terrorism legislations, is that they leave it open-ended so that their fucking political enemies can be persecuted with vague terminologies and stuff. And look, this is
anyone with those.
Dude, this is a perfect example of why we should not have these broad sweeping legislations about terrorism. Because look how it's used. Dude.
It's insane.
What are people not getting? These are not fucking terrorists. I'm not talking about the militia. I'm talking about the people that were actually charged with terrorism.
Yeah. The Hammonds.
Who turned themselves back in.
Yeah, they did.
And they're in prison again. And they're like, I don't think they even support the fucking Malheur wildlife takeover.
No, they didn't. If they did, they'd probably be there instead of turning themselves into prison.
Yeah, or they might have recognized, hey, if we hole up there and now it turns into they're harboring terrorists, well, this whole thing is going to go down.
Yeah.
I honestly don't believe, the other assertion being made is that these guys are trying to provoke a firefight. I don't think that's even remotely true.
No, absolutely not. Hammond Bundy met with the sheriff of the area earlier today.
Yeah.
A convoy. There was a convoy that followed him, so he had plenty of security with him. And
Ammon Bundy is he's kind of stepped out as the leader of this whole group.
Yeah, he's like the spokesman.
That's occupying the federal building. Do you know what would happen if protesters in Baltimore occupied a federal building, Andrea? Well, something to be considered there is these guys purposely took it to a remote area so that they wouldn't threaten anyone. They left the downtown area where the protest was. They left the congested area where they could really start a fucking firefight and really threaten people. They went purposely far, far away because their purpose is to make a statement. All right? Fucking retards.
Bundy met with the sheriff, and they came to no agreement, apparently, but they did shake hands, and they agreed to speak by phone on Friday, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So apparently all he did was appear face to face. He did say...
So the conversation's going to go, well, we weren't really using that building till spring anyways, so you guys fucking have at it. Just try not to damage anything. You know what we say about the forests around here. Leave it a little nicer than you found it, and you're more than welcome to hang out. That would be so unsatisfying. They'd be like, what do you say? Nothing. How horrible.
Just go back to what you were doing.
Yeah, I don't know. It was cutting out a lot. We'll talk to him again sometime. Let's just fuck whatever. How horribly fucking anticlimactic when you take over a building and no one gives a shit.
Yeah. Well, the sheriffs are some of the only people that the Bundy family actually respects, and they have been on record stating as such. Probably because sheriffs are held the most accountable.
Well, I was thinking about that too. I wonder if the law enforcement in that area isn't to a large degree sympathetic with these guys.
Right, and maybe that's why things haven't escalated.
Possibly. Although you would think if there's a big agenda behind it, they would just use federal agencies to do it.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying before, according to an Oath Keepers source, the federal government is involved covertly at this point.
I've heard and read that there's no corroboration of any of that. That like now the militia guys seem to think that like they've basically kind of been duped and they've been leaked purposely, false information. So,
oh really?
Yeah, I don't know that there's. You might know differently than me, but I don't know of any confirmation that there's any federal agency attempting to do anything. Which is strange. It's fucking strange. But at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of guys in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah,
I have a
what really should be done.
They're probably just
I have an official.
Okay.
Right.
Official statement from the Oath Keepers founder and national president, Stuart Rhodes.
Oh, you've been trying to get to this. Go ahead.
So, well, I just don't know how credible that is, and whether he would share information that wasn't absolutely true. But he said that, let's see, SOD-X, Reserve or National Guard Special Operations Detachment, unit under the command of Joint Special Operations Command, has been tasked for this standoff at the Malheur Wildlife Reserve and moved to the area. Given this, we should expect that other special operations assets, such as Delta Force, will also be involved if the Obama administration decides to give the green light on a military raid or strike. And we should expect the presence of the infamous FBI HRT, which were present at both Ruby Ridge and Waco.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention both those and say, here's the difference. I think if there was Facebook and Twitter during Waco, it might have gone down a lot differently.
Yeah.
There was live video, but it was live news video. It was for, who knows what you're really, what they're not showing. So I think they're kind of worried about PR here, to where like as much as most of the country's calling for blood now, they're going to realize that's a hypocritical stance to take at some point. And also, if the reality of a firefight happens and they have to kill a bunch of people, there's going to be a big backlash from the rural portion of this country, and it's a bad PR move for the government. People who support law enforcement and government in rural areas to a large degree, are then gonna turn, and go. Yeah,
and it would be a really easy way to tip people over to the other side of the fence if they're on the fence.
And they just can't get away with shit like that anymore. 25 years ago, they probably would have fucking killed everybody, spun it in the newspaper somehow. Maybe you get a couple of shots on the news from the perimeter, but you know what I mean? But now, if they fucking start attacking them, they're going to be live streaming from inside the fucking building where they're getting attacked. So it's a lot different game now. It's a lot different game.
It's interesting you say that, because Stuart Rhodes goes on to say, as much as we oppose what Ammon Bundy and Ryan Payne have done, we must warn the Obama administration that it does not have free rein to Waco the people in this standoff by using deadly military force such as SOD-X, Delta Force, or the FBI HRT to kill them all.
Yeah.
Treat this with kid gloves or risk a civil war. So the Oath Keepers are basically threatening to take it to a civil war.
At the, dude, we've all known for a long time this country is teetering on the edge of some type of revolution or civil war. I mean, things are not going that well. But, now we're looking at a civil war where we split into what would amount to fucking probably Facebook groups. It's not going to be the North versus the South. It's going to be the left versus the right if things carry on the way that they are, and that would be a horrible fucking side thing to have to choose sides on. That would be fucking sickening. But you know what I mean? We're very unstable, and people hate each other in a fucking very serious way. That's why the focus of this show for a while has been to try to be a little bit more lighthearted about stuff like this, and try to fucking joke about things, and try to cut through to the middle a little bit, and wear actual truth and be pragmatic with it, because I'm truly fucking worried about the animosity that's building.
Yeah, I am too, but in another way, I think people are too divided. I think the division is into too small of groups for anything to happen yet. You know what I mean? People aren't separated into two camps necessarily. There are dozens of them.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. There might be when you get into the minutia of politics, but I think on big issues, people are still largely in one or the other side, you know?
What are those two sides?
Like a left or right, you know?
Yeah, that's who you think the war is going to be between. I keep imagining more like people versus government generally.
That would be awesome, but
I always imagine.
You what, Dave?
I always imagine swarms of people just like pulling rich people out of their mansions and ripping their bodies apart.
Okay, yeah, but that's the eventual thing. If we can get enough people together and if we can win ideologically, then that'll probably happen. But what I'm talking about is what the establishment would like to stimulate, either like a war against the police, a war against each other, somehow. You know what I mean? That's what the big establishment wants, is to pit us against each other as brutally as they possibly can. So I'm not talking about like something organic. I'm talking about what's being developed in the media.
Ah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at, dude, it's the same. You look over to like the Middle East and you look at like Sunnis and Shiites. I wonder how many people look over at our country and go like, look at those two ridiculous bickering factions that like, can't they even see that there's so little difference in what they squabble over and stuff? You know what I mean? How we look at people in the Middle East. They must, I don't know what that is. You guys are fucking, the call is failing or something, I guess. Let's see if they come back. But yes, my brilliant pontification on boy oh boy, look at how it's look how stupid it is when we're split into two factions. My oh my, am I bright? It's like Coke and Pepsi, man. Yankees and the Mets, Sunnis and the Shiites. Fucking I wish this noise would stop. Let me go to some audio here. I'm gonna see if I can get Andrea and David Box back. This is the militia press conference. This is a guy named Lavoy Linicum is emerging as kind of an interesting character, I think. He was the guy sitting under the tarp, so he's kind of silly. And he actually had some pretty cool things to say, I thought. Let's check him out here as they give this outdoor press conference
and so
in what seems to be a cold Oregon field.
Why this is so bad at the federal level. Our founding fathers had escaped from tyranny. They believed in freedom. And so when they set up our government, they separated the powers, didn't they? And we all know what they are. Executive, legislative, and judicial branches. We know those three branches of power. Well, what has happened to 1/3 of our landmass? Do you know the federal government owns and controls 1/3 of this nation? Let me put that in perspective. You need to put in the country of Germany, and put in France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and better throw in Great Britain too.
Most of those were countries. I don't know about French. French might not be real.
And then you're getting about the same landmass as what the...
Oh, Christ. What the fuck? And now I just lost internet on this computer. I might be experiencing some technological differences here. And I don't know where the fuck Andrea and David Box are. But I have two computers that just stopped working. Oh, here they are. Let's see. Everybody cross your fingers. Hey.
Hey.
Oh, you're back. Dude, I was keeping the show floating while you guys were gone, and then I was playing some audio from the militia press conference, and this computer just fucking shitted out and stopped having internet. I was like, holy shit, I might actually have to think.
What is happening?
I might actually have to think with my brain, and I got really scared.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that, but whatever. So I was trying to play Lavoy, and he was explaining how through every process of this situation, there's a code that's written by a bureaucrat who was not elected, right? The code, if he has any problem with it, is then enforced by a law enforcement member with a gun, through threat of violence, it's enforced, and he was unelected. And then he goes to a court where everyone was unelected, and he goes, there's absolutely no representation at any step of this entire process of how they take our land, basically drain our money and our resources and deplete our fucking wills. And not once have I dealt with an elected official. There's the idea that we have representation here is a joke, is basically what he's saying.
Right.
Which I totally agree with. I thought that was a pretty poignant remark on old Lavoie's part. So I was trying to play that, but I'm gonna see what happens with this computer here. Might restart it. Have to give it the old restart.
Has Obama commented on this?
Oh, you didn't see? Oh wait, no, maybe he didn't actually. Maybe he didn't. Did he, Andrea?
No, I don't think he has.
This is a tough one for politicians because
anything about him.
As stupid as the American public is, there is a lot of traps here for being, if you're worried about looking hypocritical, and we live in an age of sound bites and gotcha moments, this is a definitely a tricky area to comment on for a politician. But that's why I think the natural and safe thing to do is just to go, well, this, they might have some legitimate concerns, but this is crazy what they're doing. You can't actually take action. You're supposed to get on the internet and complain. Fucking start a stupid YouTube show that no one listens to. Work. Huh?
Violence just creates more violence.
Oh, yeah. Stop perpetuating the cycle. Why don't you
Better ways to get things done.
Follow the example of the Native Americans.
Sign my petition on.
Just keep taking the treaties.
Just wait your turn.
Yeah. Just chill. Everything will be fine. So whatever. I mean, the whole thing is full of shit. Just a bunch of shit for people to step in.
It seems real shit-filled.
I think we're back on a horrible delay, but whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it. But Ammon Bundy announced that he will be revealing his list of demands tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that.
You realize
they're making a list of demands.
That's previously they said they had no demands, so that's kind of exciting. But all they've said is they want to restore the property rights to the rightful owners, and they want to get people back to work in that area and let people, ranch and mine and everything else that they used to do there. Graze, let the cows graze.
Yeah, they need it. They're hungry.
But whatever, dude. Again, just to fucking round it all off, if you don't understand that this is a corrupt government trying to acquire valuable land, which they can use to borrow more money or pay off debts that none of us fucking signed on to, then I don't know what to do with you. Otherwise, you can look at the small parts. Like, why were they charged? They were given a fine of $400,000. Does that seem reasonable to anyone, anywhere, for destroying? I think, honestly, what they ruled was like technically it was a couple of $100 of damage or something, wasn't it, Andrea?
It was just fields.
It was fields and like juniper bushes. It wasn't even trees. Fucking Christ.
It was a total of 140 acres, which isn't that much.
And not when you're talking about a 6,000 acre ranch surrounded by fucking hundreds of square miles of rural land, I mean, it's fucking. And then just the phoniness of people going, that's federal land we're all supposed to enjoy, not for some rednecks to just use and do whatever they want with. Really?
It's not for burning and shooting animals and fucking your sister.
Yeah. Are you going to go out there and walk around in that stupid fucking field in Oregon? Shut the fuck up. You don't care. Everybody's so phony. But so they gave
you know how much space they have out there? It's a lot.
And you realize what's going to happen now, too, that they're back in prison. The family can't run the ranch like they used to. Now they still have $200,000 of this fine to pay off. I think before the end of this year, they're going to go completely broke and they have to sell their ranch to the BLM. And they win. And then you go, hey, you're standing up to that in a physical way with weapons is crazy. Really?
These crazy rednecks can't accept that the federal land has federal laws.
Right, and you can't, dude, you're only acting like this. If you're somebody that opposes these guys, you're only acting that way because they're not like you. That's the only reason it is. Because you don't think that you would enjoy these people socially, so you want to see some social justice. This is disgusting and sick if you don't just take a look at it and understand. How would you feel if fucking people in your culture and who did the kind of jobs you do and blah, blah, blah were this persecuted? Of course, dude, eventually you'd want to stand up. I would hope.
Well, and there are
you
people...
talking about... Oh, sorry.
I'm talking about people that criticize the militia guys in general. Like, what do you want? How long do you want them to wait before they fucking do something?
There are people who are so ridiculously anti-gun that just the fact that guns are involved make them oppose what's happening, regardless of the issues and regardless of the consequences. Just the fact that they're using guns mean that they're crazy, gun-toting idiots.
Armed gunmen.
Also them being white.
Yeah, the white thing doesn't help.
Yeah.
Well, there's an extra social stigma to anything, Hey, you couldn't do that if you were black. Oh, well then, okay, sorry. I guess we'll...
Well, it's a good thing I'm not black.
I guess I'm supposed to be pretending I'm black. Sorry.
Wait, but that's not true. Because in 1970, former Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, participated in the armed takeover of an abandoned Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps.
Oh, I saw that. What was the story with that?
Let's see. I was among a large group of students who felt strongly about the way we thought the world should be, and we weren't afraid to make our opinions heard, Holder said. Several of us took one of our concerns that black students needed a designated space to gather on campus to the dean's office. This being Columbia, we proceeded to occupy that office.
All right.
So he took over a government building as a protest. That sounds kind of stupid.
Were they all killed immediately?
No, surprisingly, they were not.
Yeah, they were all laid instead.
That's the thing. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure how, if that's a fair point to make at all, because honestly, I don't know what would happen if a group of black militia members who called themselves constitutionalists and were standing up for the rights of farmers took over a building in the middle of nowhere. We don't really have any frame of reference to judge that, because that's what people are, if this happened in Baltimore, yeah, if it happened in a fucking crowded urban area, yeah, you're going to get fucking killed. White people would also get killed in a crowded urban area doing this. But, you know what I mean, Andrea? I don't know if it's necessarily true that black people would be killed doing this same thing at all.
Yeah, I don't know that either, because there have been plenty of open carry protests where hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have shown up, and many of them have been black.
Right.
There are some that have been exclusively black.
And then because that has a different...
That's just walking around with a gun.
But it has the different climate of constitutionalists and stuff, and so then it's okay,
Yeah.
From law enforcement.
It's just more shit in the race war echo chamber.
The race war echo chamber. Yeah, you guys are cutting out a lot again, but whatever. That's what we got to work with tonight. Fuck it.
What?
Just you guys cutting out all the time in this shitty...
Oh,
this shitty Skype connection.
Terrible right now.
So everybody's saying Obama crying in his last speech, press conference, whatever, it was fake. I checked it out today. I'm not sure how he could have faked it that good. It looked pretty real to me. He had there's tears coming.
Really disingenuous.
Yeah, I understand it was probably planned. Maybe he can make himself cry. I don't know. But, like, people are like, that was so fake. I'm like, how? Those looked like real ass tears coming down to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to make yourself cry.
Yeah.
Especially a man whose profession is to manipulate.
Right, and maybe he fucking...
I make myself cry sometimes. I do this thing, pretend to be really confused by basic things, and it freaks me out, and I start to cry, and sometimes I actually do start crying because of it. So it's not that hard.
That's totally normal
you just have
behavior.
To immerse yourself.
So
in
he...
what you're doing.
Let's I took part of his speech that I thought was kind of interesting. Do you guys want to hear it?
But I also believe that we can find ways to reduce gun violence consistent with the Second Amendment. I mean, think about it. We all believe in the First Amendment, the guarantee of free speech, but we accept that you can't yell fire in a theater. We understand there are some constraints on our freedom in order to protect innocent people.
When was it such a fucking big deal? Why is that still a saying? How many people were yelling fire in theaters, and what effect was it having? Like, if I was in a theater and somebody ran in yelling fire, I'd probably look around, go, I don't see any fire. You know, people are...
Oh my God, no, there was a thing because somebody fake yelled fire during like a big Christmas party for like a public like at the public center or whatever, and it was a bunch of families, and someone yelled fire, and then a bunch of little kids got trampled to death when they were trying to escape, and then in the ensuing chaos, a real fire was started, and like 50-something people died.
When was this?
I don't know, probably like 60 years ago.
Okay. So
I can't remember what it's called. I'll try and find it, though.
I don't know. I just think it's funny that that's still like our only... Nobody else knows of another one. The only constraints to free speech that anyone ever mentions is yelling fire in a theater or saying you can kill the president or saying you're gonna kill the president. But anyways, okay. I see. I guess I see the point there. Kind of. What did you think about that? He's talking
the point that Obama's making?
Yeah. He's talking about restricting gun rights and stuff and saying, look, you can accept that we restrict free speech. Why can't you accept that we want to restrict the Second Amendment more? So, I mean...
Well,
again, I think it's
9 times out of 10, anytime...
What?
Sorry. I was going to say that 9 times out of 10, when someone is convicted or attempt saying they're going to kill the president or yelling fire in a theater, they get it dismissed based on free speech. Okay. No one ever gets convicted of threatening to kill the president because of free speech.
So those fucking constraints aren't even real.
Right.
And those have
taboo.
Those have gone to the Supreme Court a few times, yeah. And
yeah, they're just frowned upon.
Right, and generally unaccepted in polite society. But so also isn't that just kind of a clever trick to play on someone, you know, to go, well, you can accept this, why can't you accept that? Well, what does one have to do with the other, honestly? Mm-hmm. You know, the Second Amendment is ultimately how we're going to protect our First Amendment in the end, and actually vice versa. It could go either way. But you know, I mean, so we can accept what they're completely different things. They don't have anything to do with each other. And so when people go, hey, why can't you accept that we just want background checks and more detailed like registration and licensing and stuff to make sales and everything? Well, because it's incremental. There's no fucking arguing with the fact that the establishment wants an unarmed, dumb, vulnerable public. I'm sorry, that's the only way to look at it at this point. And you can tell, why is gun control the number one fucking issue? Why are we supposed to be so fucking afraid of gun violence in this country? Why aren't Andrea, did you find numbers on this shit too?
Yes.
Isn't there a million other fucking things? Like, where does guns, like violent gun death, where does that even come in on the scale of, untimely deaths in general in this country?
All right, get ready.
Okay.
32,000 people die by guns.
32,000 people die every year by guns?
Yeah, in the United States. However,
That's
if you remove suicides and accidental gun shootings, you're left with only 11,000 deaths by gun violence, intentional gun violence, and that is less than 0.4% of total deaths in the country.
Less than 0.4% of what? Unnatural deaths or just total deaths?
Total deaths.
Well, total deaths, I mean, that's going to be the majority of people die of some disease when they're old, and it'll just be called a natural death. So we need shit like, cars and shit like that. Do you have numbers like that?
Yeah, well, I've got numbers comparing it to alcohol.
Okay. My point is
and
here,
alcohol accidents.
There's so many things that dwarf gun violence in this country. Heart disease and fucking obesity, alcoholism, car crashes, on and on and on and on. How about knife murders in England since they took the guns away? I think there's way more of those than there are gun murders here. I might be wrong. It's a thing I think right now. And, why are we not hearing constant press conferences about, like, I keep pleading with you to drive your cars safer and stop drinking so much, and fucking bar owners are terrorists. They're contributing. What did you come up with for numbers for alcohol?
For alcohol, let's see, 88,000 people die just for alcohol per year.
Okay.
It's the third largest number of preventable deaths in the country.
We all know people who have drank themselves to death. Everyone, right?
Yeah, I think everyone knows one of those.
Yeah. I mean,
now, if you include the 10,000 fatalities caused by drunk driving every year, that's from alcohol. And that is also 1/3 of all driving-related fatalities are caused by alcohol.
Okay, so, again, the point is, it's total hypocrisy. They don't care about deaths, okay? And I'm not proposing alcohol should be illegal. I don't think anything should be illegal, really. But, so, the point is, there is an agenda here to disarm the populace and to do away with a culture that might actually be willing to stand up to the establishment at some day, violently. That's the overall agenda you have to see. I mean, why else is it so fucking out of balance? A few hundred deaths every year for the mass shootings that they fucking shoved down your throat in media constantly, and you're supposed to shit your pants and go fucking, hey, the rednecks are ruining the country by opposing, encroachments on the Second Amendment. Dude, don't fall for this. It's so stupid. You really, Andrea, do you see what I'm saying? I know we're on a stupid delay, and that's why it sounds like there's long pauses. Well, there are long pauses. But,
yeah.
I mean, do you see it the same way as me, where it's just like the absolute absurdity of asking me to believe that if you care about deaths, you care about untimely deaths, that guns are supposed to be the number one issue, please.
Yeah. And meanwhile, all of our food is poisoned.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he appoints Michael Taylor to the fucking head of the EPA a few years back, remember? And a guy that's just floated back and forth between government agencies and Monsanto over and over again for his entire career, and basically was a lawyer for them, justifying them destroying countless fucking towns across the country and committing environmental terrorism. How about that one? Monsanto, you know. Why are we not worried about that, Mr. President?
Yeah.
Mr. President, with your fucking awkwardly short haircut to try to hide your gray hair. Same one I have, actually. Same haircut. But
take that.
His hairline is a lot nicer than mine. I'm getting quite a widow's peak. You know?
That's some people like that. Probably.
Yeah, if you needed to cast a fucking pathetic loser in an independent film, I'd be perfect. We need to fucking...
Wait, tell me, do you have any ripped jeans or grease-stained t-shirts?
Yeah, and are you sort of fucking fat but skinny at the same time? With a fucking look, like pale and going bald. Like, is that you? Yeah, I guess all of a sudden it is.
Do you live above a bar?
Sidetracked there, yeah. What a loser I am. God. It's all kind of actually coming together for me, realizing this.
Shit.
No, but I've been working out a lot now, so I have, like I said, like weird, like skinny, fat at the same time body. Like you can like see my ribs, but if I relax my stomach, I look like Homer Simpson. And it's like it's a weird body to have. Like
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, like if I stand up straight and like hold myself right, I almost look like I'm in pretty good shape. But if I were to take my shirt off, I think people would start laughing openly. Honestly, it's like, first of all, like my ring of fat around my stomach, when everything else is like getting in shape, and then I just have this ring of fat around my midsection.
Yeah,
it fucking jiggles when I take off my shirt. Which I don't even know how my girlfriend forces herself to be attracted to me, honestly. It's fucking disgusting. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror, taking my shirt off, and I'm like, holy shit, I have actual, like, 2-second jiggle, and you can see my ribs. The fuck is happening to me?
You're like one of those starving kids.
Maybe I'm just malnourished. Yeah, maybe that's the whole answer. Maybe I'm dying. I have a big fucking tumor in my belly.
Yeah, it's growing teeth and stuff.
Anyways, whatever. This is what I'm kind of reaffirming in my own mind about the gun stuff, is that, like, yeah, there is an agenda. This doesn't make sense unless they wanted to disarm us. Does it to you? No,
absolutely not. What other point could there be?
I mean, and this shit just goes step by step. Oh, and do I have to point out to anyone how obvious it is? Well, why don't you want mental background checks? Because do you know the fucking ever-increasing list of things you can be declared insane for in this country? You know what I mean? Do you have any idea? And
anything.
And plus, like, so if you do something crazy at some point in your life, or you commit a crime at some point in your life, then never again are you ever allowed to protect yourself? Really? Fuck off. It just makes no sense to me. Now, that doesn't mean I want crazy people to have guns. Nobody wants crazy people to have guns. I've been in the fucking room where crazy people are holding guns multiple times in my life. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like it, But but it's just the other option I feel like is more dangerous. Governments kill more people. As long as we're fucking doing little factoids and numbers, governments were the cause of the most unnatural deaths of anything, any cause you can think of. Disease, poverty, starvation, anything. Governments killed more people than any of those other things, natural disasters, you fucking name it, in the 20th century. So that's what happens. That's the other side of it. It's like, okay, I'm willing to take the chaos. I'm willing to accept the chaos that some crazy person could get their hands on a gun. I'm willing to accept that over the almost the almost inevitability of a government that has gotten out of control committing massive fucking acts of genocide. And that could sound crazy to you, but it sounded crazy anywhere that it has happened 10 years before it happened.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Genocide.
Yes.
I mean, fucking democide. That's what it's called. The act of a government, a government extermination. Did you know that? That's the number one cause of untimely death in the 20th century? Democide?
I didn't know it, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
Think about it. I'm pretty sure it's in the hundreds of millions.
I'm not shocked by that even a little bit.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about how many things can be considered crazy, I think it's worth mentioning that people who are skeptical of man-made climate change could be denied a gun because psychologists have previously said that global warming skeptics were mentally ill.
The Department of Homeland Security released a list of like things that somebody could be declared unstable for one time that included fucking like wearing blue jeans and using a proxy server and paying with cash.
Yeah, I remember that, paying with cash.
Yeah.
Totally.
That you might be like a possible homegrown terrorist in the making.
Using your drug money.
Dude, yeah. It's all right out there. I mean, you can see the way that they're setting this all up. So that's why no more background checks. That's why fuck you all the time for any gun legislation ever. Fuck off. On top of the fact that people who are pro-gun aren't pro-murder, okay? That's honestly what it feels like some people in the left believe. You have to make an effort to understand people. They honestly believe that allowing good people to have as many guns as they want is a safer option than restricting them and having all the guns be in the hands of the government and criminals. Okay, that's the deal. They actually think that will be better and save lives and cause less suffering and death in the end.
I certainly think that.
Right. But again, I don't know who I think is listening to this show that I have to explain that to, but I'm just saying that's literally what...
Listen up, you libtards.
That escapes a lot of people, That whole idea that, like, this is not a camp that goes, like, I love fucking gun violence. No.
Yeah. Shoot 'em up, boys.
And so anyway, so you have the two things put together, just the basic philosophy of I think I should be able to protect myself, combined with the history and the science behind knowing you need to have an armed populace to have anything even remotely resembling a representative government. They don't give a fuck unless they're worried about getting killed. Trust me, they don't.
Well, neither do we.
Neither do I. That's how I live every day. Don't fucking talk to me about shit unless you're gonna kill me. That's all I want to fucking hear about.
Not if I kill you first.
I think that it's time that we had a quick little break here on the Overdose Talk Show.
All right.
Let's come back in a minute, do a couple other things. I saw a snake with a spider for a tail. I sent you.
Oh, I thought you meant as a friend.
No, that would even be scarier for some reason. What are they up to? Fucking snake and the spider. That's a bad combination. I don't like where this is going. But no, I sent you the video of a fucking snake that has like a spider for a tail.
Oh yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, it's weird. We'll do a bunch of stuff. All right, we'll be back. Thank you for checking out the Overdose Talk Show. Why is it that I worked in kitchens for fucking 10 years and modern Mexicans don't listen to shit like this? Why not? It's all just the same fucking or fucking really annoying dance songs. That's
what I get more of.
You know. Why the fuck are they not? Listen to that. That's nice. You know? I did not ever hear shit like that in the kitchen.
Maybe this isn't Mexican.
You might be right. I have no idea.
Nice.
The old speech Obama gave when he was campaigning is getting shared a lot, where he talked about how the biggest problem facing the country is George Bush overstepping the Congress and just abusing his presidential privileges to get things done without consulting Congress and the American people.
Are you talking about executive orders?
Oh, I think we are. Hasn't Obama signed like twice as many executive orders as every other president combined or something ridiculous like that? It's not. Andrea, look it up really quick. But
no, I've got it.
Oh, you do? What is it? What is it actually?
Yeah.
What is it?
As of December 20th,
hold on.
Stats I could find. As of December 20th of last year,
okay,
he had signed 227 executive orders. George W. Bush had signed. During the 8 years of George W. Bush's presidency, he signed 200. Clinton signed 354.
Andrea, you're cutting out a lot. You said George Bush signed how many? 200.
291.
So more than Obama.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That was in 8 years. And years of Obama's, he's done 227. So.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy. I always hear people say.
Bush was higher.
I always see that I've seen, I guess, memes that are false that say like Obama signed like 4 times as many as every other president combined. But so, anyways, he's up there. I guess he signs a lot.
No, are you crazy? Wait, FDR. Hold on. 3,700 of them.
FDR did?
Yeah.
3,700? What a fucking dick. And, he was responsible for that stupid fucking gold ban that we always talk about when treasure hunters find gold between us. It's like a big fucking coins minted between certain years, gold coins. The government can just fucking take them because of an executive order FDR signed that's a buyback or confiscation. I don't think it's a buyback at all, actually. It's like a recall of gold minted coins. Remember those people in California that found like $10 million of U.S. gold minted coins in their backyard in a fucking coffee can that was buried? They found it like sticking.
They just took it.
The government just took it. They just took the whole fucking thing. Nope, that's ours. Well, executive order, recall. Sorry. We don't
recall.
We don't like fucking the American people. It's just we're just doing our jobs. So an executive order was originally, as I understand it, supposed to be like, hey, this is for stuff we don't need to bother Congress with. Like, we need new drapes. We fucking need the house painted. Whatever. It's to go, hey, I authorized this. This had to get done, and it's not worth fucking having a vote on. It's a way to fucking just take care of little things that we're not supposed to be wasting our time with, that there should be no argument about. It's not to fucking push through controversial legislation. It's ridiculous. Right. And then to pretend you're representing the American people. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, let's see. For example, here, George Washington had 8. John Adams had 1. Thomas Jefferson had 4. Madison had 1. Monroe had 1. John Quincy Adams had 3.
And George Washington's were just like, I need a pipe cleaner and a fucking and a wood tooth polisher.
Yeah.
I need a wood tooth polishing kit. His was
the White House to pay for my X sharpener.
Wait, you know what would be interesting? What were George Washington's executive orders? Can you look that up? Because I am fucking struck for internet over here.
Out.
Yeah, my internet situation is totally foobar. How do you like that, David Box? Foobar.
Foobar?
Yeah. Fucked up beyond all recognition. It's an old World War II thing. Foobar.
Oh. Is that what the enemy was? The bullets hit them?
Nah, it's like you say this situation's foobar. Or that fucking mission was
Fucked up beyond all recognition.
You got it. That's the one. Andrea, how are you coming with that? Or do we need to keep stalling with this brilliant dialogue?
Yeah, this is Foobar, Andrea.
Yeah, this is Fubar. I am having a little trouble finding the actual orders. Everything I click on is just like, he had 8 executive orders.
What did you search for? Let's work on your search techniques.
Well, first I searched George Washington executive orders.
Okay. See,
and then Google suggested where to find George Washington executive orders.
Here, look, list of United States federal.
Yeah,
no, that's
you
not
gotta
it.
search. You gotta search for list of George Washingtons.
No, that just gives me a list of all of the president's orders. Oh, here we go. It breaks it down further down on the page. No.
All right.
It just says 1836. That's not it.
That has nothing to do with George Washington. Pretty sure he was dead by then.
Yeah, they start the actual individualized orders start at 1836.
How do they know he did 8 then?
There must be a record somewhere.
All right, whatever, dude.
We'll find it.
He probably just ordered 8 orders of freedom.
Yes. I declare there will be. I declare there will
Freedom,
be
please.
even more freedom.
the
He was just all fucking deranged by the end, just getting high. Like, one prescription for freedom for the American people, and just laughing and signing it. They're like, oh god, this fucking guy has really lost a step.
Okay, wait.
What?
First, here's by George Washington, April 22nd, 1793, giving instruction to federal officers to prosecute interfering with the war between England and France.
To what?
In this case, Washington
Hold
made
on.
the decree
This sucks. This is
for
really
federal
sucks.
federal officers to prosecute any citizens between England and France
Any citizens what?
interfering with the war between.
God damn it. All right. This is not working. You're just cutting out way too much. I think I heard interfering to prosecute any citizens interfering with the war between England and France.
England and France.
Yeah, why were they having such a problem with that? That's strange.
Yeah, how would you do it from all the way where you are?
Yeah.
You're in France?
Well,
Did it as an executive order was because Congress was out of session.
Oh, really? So there must have been a case going on where they're like,
Yeah.
we need to be able to prosecute these people. So we need the law in place first.
Yeah.
Strange. We should look into that for the next show. Are you here? All right. Well, I've had about enough, I think. We're going to just try again when I'm back up in Chicago. We'll just do a show all in the same room. Thanks for sticking with us if you did on the Overdose Talk Show, but we're just having too much fucking Skype issues. So we're out of here.
We're sorry.
We'll talk to you later.
We're very sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do. We'll talk to you guys soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.